Hello everyone! Today I am in my living room because I thought it would be fun to show you the graphic design books I got while I was in college. So if you're studying design or you want to study design, you might find some books you hadn't heard of already, or maybe you've already read some of these books, in which case let me know in the comments what you thought of them. If you find yourself enjoying this, make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe if you'd like to see more videos. Now that I've graduated, I'm really excited to share more of my professional art life with you all. So I'm going to start out with the most basic books that you've probably heard of already: Graphic Design, The New Basics, and Thinking with Type. Both of these books are written by Ellen Lupton. This one is also written by Jennifer Cole Phillips. This was the first textbook I was required to buy for my graphic design program, and this textbook was for my basic typography class. If you are just starting out, I would highly recommend both of these. They are incredibly useful. The New Basics starts completely from square one, so if you're in high school or like just at the beginning of college, perfect book for you. Thinking with Type is also the basics specifically for typography. There's so much good stuff to learn in this book, so if you enjoy learning the different parts of letters or different styles of type throughout history and what those convey, this is really important. Also in that vein of basic books, but which I haven't seen mentioned that often, is Graphic Design Thinking Beyond Brainstorming. This is also by Ellen Lupton. If you're an artist, I'm sure you can relate to sitting down and just not knowing what to do, or not even be able to sit down at all. Well, this book is what that's for. It gives you a whole bunch of ways to start thinking about how to start your projects, how to connect things you hadn't previously thought were connected. It goes over visual research and all kinds of stuff that's really important to the design process, so definitely read this if you find yourself getting stuck. Now, these aren't books that I got in college. I actually picked these up while I was still in high school because I thought I might like them in college. This is Just My Type by Simon Garfield and Shady Characters by Keith Houston. This book goes really into depth about the history of typography. If you're a nerd about language, almost dropped it, you will love this. It also talks about the history of Comic Sans, which I found very interesting. And then this book I haven't read all the way through because I didn't get a chance to like really sit down with it, but it goes over the history of like really weird punctuation, ampersands, @ signs, octothorpes, which is the original name for hashtag. If you've ever wondered how those symbols came to be, you will find that out in this book. What should I cover next? Let's go with a designer's research manual. This was like senior year reading material, but I still think it's like basic foundational information. It goes over the different kinds of research, how to apply those to design, how to make sure that the solutions you're coming up with are things that people actually need. When you're doing graphic design, it's usually not just art for art's sake. You're trying to do it with a purpose, and you should really have that purpose nailed down. So that is what this book helps with. In that higher level research vein, we have This Means This, This Means That by Sean Hall. I am gonna be real, I did not sit down and read through this textbook. I went to class and listened to the lectures and got the gist of it. But if you don't have that convenience, here's the book for you. So this is a user's guide to semiotics, and semiotics is the study of how humans assign meanings to things. Obviously, when you're designing things, you're supposed to convey a message to people quickly and accurately. And sometimes the message they get is not the message you intended, and also you have to have like a cultural awareness. Different groups of people can see the same thing and associate it with different things. As a concept, important to be familiar with. Next we have Creating a Brand Identity by Catherine Slade Brooking. This was very weird to buy on Amazon because I thought like this was a picture of the book, but no, this is the cover with a picture inside the cover. This book is a comprehensive introduction to creating a branding system, how to define an audience, analyze competitors, presenting to clients, all kinds of stuff like that. And along a similar vein as this book, I also have Designing a Brand Identity by Alina Wheeler. I think I bought this as a senior in high school because I was like really excited about going into graphic design, and then I didn't actually need it until I was a senior. This goes into the same stuff, but a little more technical, and it's less aimed at you, the designer, and more aimed at an agency team. I would still recommend giving it a read. It is not my favorite book. The takeaway from this should be that branding is all about really thorough research, and you can't just whip out a logo and that's the brand. But logo design is important. I'm not saying it's not important, which is why I have this book about making logos called Logo Design Love by David Airy. This was not required reading. I got this myself, but I got it during college, so I'm including it. This also has stuff about brand identity, but there is more of a focus on designing an effective logo. There are lots of case studies in here. I think this is the book that I found the most useful, just for me personally. It really helped me understand what an effective logo looks like. Not just a pretty logo, but one that really defines a brand and becomes iconic. I would super highly recommend this book. What makes the most sense to bring up next thematically? How about Meg's History of Graphic Design? This is a very very large book. This was required reading for my graphic design history class. Regrettably, I got a new version because I was led to believe I would need the online code, but then I didn't. Anyway, this is a very useful book for learning about history. I think in any art field, it's essential to have at least a basic understanding of what came before, so you can kind of borrow from that, be inspired from that. Would recommend giving it at least a skim, probably get it used. Next, I'll share some books about specific areas of design, and first among those is the package design workbook. This was assigned reading for my 3D design class, and it goes into the essentials of package design. The title would lead you to think that it's like an activity book, but it's not. It goes over how packaging can affect how well a product sells. It also goes over how to make a package stand out in a competitive marketplace, because when you go to the store, there is so much stuff to choose from. If that's something you're interested in designing, I would recommend doing some research on effective packaging. Next, we have also assigned reading for that class, the Wayfinding Handbook by David Gibson. This is the book you would read if you're interested in designing signage, maps, any kind of information design that guides people from place to place. And this goes into not just designing the signs, but also like where to put them, as well as real life examples. So I would definitely check this out if that's something you're interested in. Getting away from the physical 3D world and into the digital one, we have HTML and CSS by John Duckett. I love this book. It makes code super accessible. If you've never coded anything before in your life, you can look through this book and understand it. I personally think one of the barriers of getting into more technological stuff is that everything is written so confusingly. A lot of times when people try to explain things to you, they're just trying to show how smart they are and they're not actually making sure that you understand. So books like this that assume nothing and lay the pages out pretty sparsely so you know exactly what's important and what it means, super valuable resource. This next one is a long book. And by long, I mean like horizontally. This is Design for Motion by Austin Shaw. This was required reading for my motion design class. Motion design can be kind of a vague term. There are so many different ways to be a motion designer. You can do title sequences, video game menus, animations. This book covers the whole process: storyboarding, compositing, typography. It goes over the basics of cinematography. This isn't really my chosen discipline, but if it's yours, it's very cool. You should check it out. Next, just a couple of books about specific people. Pretty Much Everything by Aaron Draplin, and How To by Michael Beirut. Michael Beirut is a really famous graphic designer. I'm holding too many books. This is definitely worth a read. I've talked about it before. I won't go too into it, but it's full of case studies of stuff he's done. So if you like Michael Beirut, you will like this book. And then Pretty Much Everything by Aaron Draplin. I adore this. Aaron Draplin actually came to our school to give a talk, so I got to meet the guy. This book is really fun and colorful, and I think it's a really great read. I think it's really interesting how he got into design from like snowboarding, drawing, in his sketchbook, you know, stuff that a lot of us did, and now he's a really well-known designer. So I find this super inspirational. I would definitely recommend checking this out. So we are finally to the last category of books I have to share with you, and that is Design for Social Impact, which is my whole deal. To get to those, let me first push past my collection of shot glasses. So first up, we have The Design of Dissent by Milton Glaser. This is a classic. I have the expanded edition, which I would recommend. This is not really a how-to book so much as it is a bunch of case studies of politically motivated design over the years. So like protest posters, political comics. This book is definitely good for learning history and getting some visual inspiration, but it will not teach you how to best create these graphics yourself. But if you like learning from looking at what other people have done, this book is great. Next up, we have Signs of Resistance, a visual history of protest in America by Bonnie Siegler. This is a super recent book. It's a lot like The Design of Dissent, but it's more focused specifically on movements in the United States. I would recommend reading these two books as a set. So let's say you're interested in making your own protest art. What would you do? Well, you could start by reading some of these books. These are not specific graphic design, but I read them while I was doing research for my senior thesis. This book, The Art of Protest, it's not an art book, it's like an actual written book. So you can read through some of the details of actions by social movements and more understand what went into them, whereas this book is actually a how-to manual. This is Beautiful Trouble, A Toolbox for Revolution by Andrew Boyd. I believe this is also available for free online. I will put a link to that in the video description. This is literally just a compendium of all kinds of different protest tactics you can do. It also contains some small case studies alongside the methodology so you can see it applied. So if you find yourself stuck and you can't think of anything besides making some signs, this is a great book to read. And lastly, we're switching gears from protest to socially conscious design. There are lots and lots of ways that graphic graphic design can be applied other than, like, protests. The first book I would recommend reading is Designing for Social Change by Andrew Shea. This was required reading for one of my practicum classes, which was a completely project-based class. This book presents 10 strategies for working effectively with community organizations. Each strategy is accompanied by a case study to help you understand. As a designer, your goal is to help people. You have to put your ego aside and actually listen and understand what they need. Don't enter a community you're not a part of, guns blazing, thinking you have the answer that no one's thought of, because probably someone's already thought of it, and it's not a great idea. I think a lot of times graphic designers do struggle with having a big ego. I struggle with that sometimes too. I am a YouTuber. Really important read, y'all. And these last two books were not required reading, I just also picked them up. This is Just Design by Christopher Simmons. This book is all case studies. It's not a how-to like the other book. It can really help you get some ideas of how to apply design more creatively to solve problems. It has more than 140 examples. I would definitely recommend checking this book out as well. The second one is also the final book I have to share with you, and that is By the People, Designing a Better America. This is compiled by the Cooper Hewitt Museum, which is one of the Smithsonian museums. This book features 60 design profiles, 9 essays and interviews, and more than 450 images that bring light to design's important role in addressing social, economic, environmental, and spatial disparities. There are different sections, like in what ways can design act as a catalyst for change, followed by really thorough examples of projects like a cross-border community station, or creating more effective polling materials so people don't accidentally cast the wrong votes in elections. This is definitely the kind of thing I would love to do with my career, so hopefully one day I will be able to, and then I can share it with you all. So we finally made it to the end. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if this helped you find any new books. I have more art-related content on the way in 2020, and I am really excited. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, where I share my own design work, and you can also feel free to check out my portfolio website, which I will link to in the video description. I will see you guys next year. I have not read this book in a hot minute, so and this textbook was smart. Let's fix this mess. Sorry. If you find yourself enjoying this video, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe for more videos. Oh, I can't talk. I hate this so much.